The night was quiet, heavy with a kind of silence that made my thoughts louder than they should have been. I sat on the edge of my bed, the hum of the ceiling fan filling the air, my mind a restless storm. My husband was away on a business trip, miles from home, leaving me in a house that suddenly felt larger than it should. I told myself I was fine, that loneliness was nothing new, but deep inside I knew the truth. My heart had not been steady for a long time. There was a weight I carried, one that came in the form of hidden glances, unspoken words, and the dangerous presence of someone I should never have thought about. My husband's best friend. I had spent months trying to bury what I felt whenever he was near, convincing myself it was harmless attraction, just sparks that would fade. But sparks have their own will. They burn when you least expect them to. That night, as I sat in my room dressed in something that revealed more than it should, my phone buzzed with a message. It was short, almost innocent, yet it made my chest tighten. "I'll stop by for a moment just to check on you." I stared at it, my pulse quickening. I should have told him not to come. I should have deleted it and gone to sleep. But I didn't. I left the message unread, hoping that maybe ignoring it would make it less real. But my heart, traitorous as ever, wanted him to come. I didn't hear a knock. What changed everything was the sudden sound of the door handle twisting, the soft creak of wood, and the sharp breath that escaped me before I could control it. The door opened. And so did my secrets. I unstood there, framed by the dim light of the hallway. He froze when he saw me, his eyes searching mine before trailing over me slowly, deliberately. I hadn't expected him to just walk in. I hadn't prepared for him to see me like that, unguarded, vulnerable, my body betraying the emotions I had tried to hide. For a moment, neither of us moved. His hand tightened on the doorframe. His jaw clenched, and the silence between us felt like a storm ready to break. "I shouldn't have come," he whispered, his voice rough. "Then why did you?" The boldness of my own words startled me. I should have told him to leave, to turn around, but instead I asked the one thing that would push him closer. His eyes flicked to the ring on my finger, the band that tied me to the man who trusted both of us. He looked pained, torn. Yet his next words shattered the fragile control we had left. "Because I can't stop thinking about you." Hearing it out loud made the air heavier. My chest rose and fell rapidly, my heart hammering against my ribs. He stepped inside and closed the door, sealing us in with our truth. My body should have moved back, should have resisted, but I didn't. Instead, I let him come closer. My voice trembled when I admitted, "I've tried to fight it too. But every time you're near, I feel things I shouldn't." He stopped inches away, his presence swallowing me whole. "If we do this," he said quietly, "there's no going back." I swallowed hard, my throat dry, my body already betraying my mind. "We already crossed the line the moment you opened that door. And then it happened." His hand reached for mine, hesitant, then firm, warm against my trembling skin. That single touch burned through me, igniting something I could no longer deny. When his lips found mine, it wasn't wild, not at first. It was soft, desperate, filled with years of restraint we had tried and failed to control. I melted into him, every fiber of my body responding with a hunger I had buried deep inside. The kiss deepened, urgency building. His hands memorizing the curves of my body, my breath breaking between whispers of his name. The room dissolved around us. Time disappeared. Every touch, every kiss carried weight. Desire, guilt, confession. We weren't just two people tangled in passion. We were two souls unraveling truths we had tried to hide. Clothes slipped away, words faded into gasps, and the night became a blur of heat and surrender. It wasn't reckless, it was careful, tender, reverent, like every move was both an apology and a promise. Hours slipped by unnoticed until the first light of dawn spilled across the sheets. Ian lay beside me, his fingers tracing gentle patterns on my skin. His eyes held everything at once, tenderness, regret, and the unspoken question of what came next. "What now?" I whispered, my voice shaking. He sighed deeply, his chest rising and falling heavily. We can't pretend this didn't happen. But we can't undo it either. I turned my gaze toward the door. That simple door, which had been nothing more than wood and hinges yesterday, now felt like a witness to everything. It had opened, and with it, the version of me I could never put back. I don't regret it, I confessed softly. But I don't know how to carry it. Ion pressed a kiss to my shoulder, his touch lingering as though it held the answer. Some secrets, he whispered, change us forever. Life after that night became a delicate balancing act. When my husband returned, he kissed me with the same warmth as always, never suspecting a thing. I cooked his favorite meals, laughed at his stories, held his hand when we walked outside. On the surface, nothing had changed. But inside, everything was different. Because every time I looked at him, I remembered Ion's touch. Every time I smiled, I carried the weight of my betrayal. Ion stayed away for a while, maybe to protect me, maybe to protect himself. But silence only made the pull stronger. When he finally called, his voice was heavy. We need to talk. We met at a cafe far from familiar eyes, sitting across from each other like strangers who shared a dangerous secret. He leaned forward, his voice low. I can't stop thinking about that night. But every time I remember it, I also remember him, your husband. My friend. Tears stung my eyes. Do you think I don't feel that? Every time he looks at me, I wonder if I've destroyed everything. You haven't, Ion said firmly. You're human. We both are. What happened was real, but it doesn't erase your marriage. But he was wrong. Did. Not in the way of ending it, but in the way of knowing I was no longer the same woman I had been before. I had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. And no matter how much I loved my husband, a part of me belonged to someone else now. Weeks turned into months, and what should have been one night became a pattern neither of us could stop. Each time we swore it was the last, and each time we found ourselves in each other's arms again. It wasn't just lust anymore. It was laughter, comfort, dreams shared in whispers, moments where I felt more seen than I had in years. Ion became more than a secret. He became my escape, my mirror, my weakness. And yet, every time I returned home, my husband's eyes met mine with trust. Guilt washed over me in waves I couldn't fight. I kissed him goodnight, told him I loved him, meant it even, but the truth was split. My heart was no longer whole. It lived in two places, with two men, in two truths that could never coexist forever. The breaking point came quietly, like all dangerous things do. One evening, as I stood in the kitchen, my husband walked in with my phone in his hand. You left this in the living room, he said, placing it on the counter. My heart stopped. Had he seen something? His expression was calm, unreadable. He kissed my cheek and walked away, leaving me breathless with fear. Nothing had been exposed, not yet. But I knew it was only a matter of time before one life clashed with the other.